Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we are going to be doing a nice casual paint with me. I'm going to be painting some lily pads with a negative painting technique using watercolors. And I've done a piece like this before, but I don't think I actually got it on film, and I just was really in the mood to just kind of do some mindless painting. Not to say that this is mindless, but for me, it's kind of therapeutic and relaxing just to kind of do one layer each at a time. So yeah, I thought we could paint and catch up. The start of this video, I started this at my kitchen table. That's why my background is a little different, and I'm using my travel watercolor palette. I was doing a lot of food prep this day and waiting for dough to rise and things like that. So I thought it would be a good idea just to kind of film at the kitchen table so I can kind of do two birds, one stone, because there's a lot of waiting time for paint to dry using this negative technique. So I just figured I would do a layer, go do something in the kitchen, and then come back and do a layer once that was dry. So I do end up switching back to my normal setup in the studio, but this is just where we started, and sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. It has been a very busy 2 weeks for me, unfortunately, and it's not the good type of busy. It's a very stressful type of busy. I am happy to report that I am okay. It's just been a lot of bad news with family. Some of you have seen my community post, and I don't really like to dwell on negative things because I just like to keep things positive here. So I'm just pushing along and trying to be painting when I can, and it's kind of like a therapeutic practice for me. So it's been a minute since I've actually been able to paint, so I'm really relieved that I was able to get back in my sketchbook this week, and I've started a new one in case you didn't know, and this is the Edgar sketchbook. I actually bought the 3-pack of this, and it's the cold press version of what they had, so it's got like a little bit more texture to the paper, which I really enjoy. So yeah, we started a new sketchbook, and I'm slowly getting back into the rhythm of things, though things are still rocky at the moment, but we are trying to stay positive and just chug along and paint when I can and be as happy and stress free as possible. So we're very taking it slow this week here in my house, and happy that the weather's starting to perk up a little bit and we'll be able to plant things in the garden and whatnot. I have a lot of seeds I have to start this week because our last frost date here is, I think, around the middle or third week of May. So I'm really excited for that. So yeah, anyway, back to the lily pad painting. This painting was so much fun. I just love the therapeutic process of this. And I recently, the only thing I wanted for Christmas was a TV for my studio, and I was finally able to accomplish that and get that set up in the studio. So I have a nice little cozy atmosphere in there, and it was really nice to finish up the painting in the studio with the TV and just in my own little world over there, and it was very, very nice. I'm not gonna lie, especially after a very stressful couple of weeks. I ended up using a pretty limited palette for this painting. I think I went with phthalo green, olive green, indigo, and a little bit of phthalo blue for this little piece, and I love how these colors work together. And I was playing in my sketchbook today, actually, and I added quinacridone violet to this mix, and I love the look of like the color palette with like the pop of purple or the violet or whatever you want to call it. So I'm really excited to experiment with that in the future. I also ended up adding a little bit of gold ink to this, and also some white gouache for the water lines and the lilies that are actually on the lily pads. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. I never know what to say in these videos because I feel like I don't like to do tutorials because I feel like they're very repetitive and I have to repeat myself a lot. And this negative painting process is basically a repetitive process to where like you do the background layer, you let it dry, you draw out a few lily pads, you paint around the lily pads, and then you repeat that process until you feel like you have enough. And then you go in and add your details and your lilies and all the end things. So there's really just not much to talk about as far as that goes. And I was actually debating about just putting music on with this, but I feel like most of you guys prefer the voiceover, so I hope I made the right call with this one. Let me know if you would rather have music on in these types of paint with me videos in the future, because that's not a problem. It's actually easier for me on my end, but I didn't want to just go in this without, I don't know, saying hi. I always feel weird uploading a video and not saying, hey guys, how's it going? So anyway, I ended up bringing some colored pencil into this and just finishing it up with some details, adding a little bit of texture with the colored pencil and whatnot. I chose this sketchbook because it's small. I think it's actually a 3x4, I want to say. It's not quite 5x7, so I chose a smaller one. And I'm hoping to finish it in 30 days because I have a special video that I'm making regarding it, and it's a 30-day project. And I chose a little one just because I wanted something that I could just randomly film when I didn't have anything else to film. And also I could work on it in my bed at night, kind of like a routine, as to just trying to paint every day as kind of like a wind down therapy without having the pressure of filming every single step of filling the sketchbook. So that's going really well so far. I bought myself a little bed desk that I just kind of doodle in my sketchbook and wind down after the day and just kind of doodle for an hour. Sometimes it's like 30 minutes, but 30 minutes to an hour. But the goal is just to make art every day and just kind of use it as a little bit of therapy, a little self-care, mental health self-care kind of situation. And while I'm doodling in my sketchbook, I usually have my audio book on, so we'll just segue right into what I've been reading. I'm listening to the Scarlet Princess series, and I'm actually in the middle of the 4th book of that, and the audio book of it is really, really good. They have these great little accents and stuff, and it's just a very enjoyable experience to sit there and listen to it, because sometimes, I don't know if you guys are like this with your books, some people are really snobby when it comes to audiobooks, and they think the only type of book, like the way to read a book is, just by holding it in your hand and reading it. And sometimes it's nice just to kind of listen to it and get completely transported into a different place. So I've been listening to books lately instead of reading them, but I'm also in the middle of the 3rd From Blood and Ash book. And that one's really interesting. It's a little slower for me to get through this one, but I'm just not in a physical reading mood at this point. Like, I feel like I need the audio just to kind of like take me somewhere else sometimes. And yes, I tend to read a little bit more of fantasy based books, or I don't know what you want to call it. It's not like high fantasy or anything, but it's just enough not realness to kind of take me to another place when I'm feeling really stressed out, and it just works for me, and that's just the kind of books that I prefer. So those are the 2 that I'm reading. I don't know what I'm going to be reading next, but I did start the Mayfair Witches series on AMC, and I think I'm into my 4th episode of that, and that show is pretty trippy. Pretty trippy right now. I wasn't expecting it to be quite that dark. It seems like it's a little darker. It's kind of like The Craft meets A Discovery of Witches, but like there's a little something else in there. It's very hard to explain, But it's very interesting, and it's definitely keeping me entertained, for a lack of a better word. I'm trying not to completely binge it because I don't want to just be stationary. I feel like lately, with the weather perking up and stuff, I'm just kind of really wanting to move around and spring clean and stuff like that. So that is what I've been reading and watching. Aside from the Mayfair Witches, I've just been kind of having like I like to watch my paranormal shows while I'm like cleaning and stuff, just for background noise, because I can, you can hear the story kind of while you're running around and cleaning house and doing the things that you have to do on a day to day. But other than that, I'm just kind of really trying to recover from all the stuff that happened in the previously 2 weeks. So it's been a lot mentally, but thankfully I feel like everything's going to turn out all right. So we're really grateful for that. So I am currently on an audiobook kick. So if you have any good audiobooks, definitely drop them in the comments and let me know. I kind of prefer, I don't really know how to classify it, but I would say it's like women's paranormal fiction. Like, it doesn't have to be like ridiculously crazy or whatever, but like I don't really like I don't even know how to describe, like I don't really like biographies or anything like that. Like I like to be transported into a different world just so I can kind of, I feel like everybody needs that kind of escape from their day-to-day life just because, and that's just what I prefer to read and listen to. So if you have any recommendations for that, I would really be interested in to know what you're reading and what you're watching, because we are always looking for new things to get into. What else can I talk about with you guys? I've been in contact with Raven, and we're both just starting our next art and lore. And I picked mine. I'm not sure if she picked hers yet. So we're in the research phase of the art and lore. The next video for that, and I'm really excited about this one. I'm hoping it's going to come out the way I envision it. I feel like that's one of the hardest things as an artist, is that you have a very strong visual in your head, and sometimes when you go to execute it, it doesn't come out completely the way you expect it to, but it's surprising nonetheless. Yeah, so anyway, the next art and lore will be out soon, so keep your eyes out for that. And I'm just finishing up this painting here. We're in the details, adding the final details and the final touches to the piece, which is always my favorite part. I always feel like it's in such an ugly stage for so long until you're at the home stretch, and then you're like, finally. Going through all that ugly stage was definitely worth it. So another thing I wanted to ask you guys about was art topics. Like, if you have any art topics that you would like to get my opinion on or have questions about, or anything I can help with in that matter, leave those in the comments, because I'm always struggling to find things to talk about during these videos, and it would be a huge help. So anyway, I hope you guys liked this little painting video, and I hope you enjoyed the close-ups of this. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.